Charlotte McLeod with the Investing News Network, and here today with me is Sonia Scarselli, Vice President at BHP Xplor. Thank you so much for joining me today. Great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me today. Great to be here.
Really nice to be speaking with you. And I thought where we could start off in this conversation is just to learn about BHP's Xplor division, what inspired the program, and what goals you're hoping to accomplish with it.
Yes, sure. So behind the program, what is the intent, number one, is to really expand our search space globally. So the goal of the program is to look for opportunities, exploration opportunities in a different jurisdiction that we've been operating, and also come with the new ideas and new concepts, and hence working with the early stage exploration companies and startups around the world.
So this is the first year for the program. Can you tell me a little bit about the criteria that you use to select the participants?
So that's a great question. So we received a lot of applications, and we knew we could bring in the portfolio just a certain number. And so we looked at different metrics, and maybe I can summarize in four main metrics. First of all, we were interested in future-facing commodities such as copper and nickel. We looked at the validity of the technical concept, of the geological concept. Does it make sense or not? What are the observations against or for? Then we looked around the leadership team as well. So we look at consideration around what are their strengths, what are their skills, and how we will be able to work with them. We also look at jurisdiction, where they are located, and maturity. The full goal was not to rank them against each other. That was not the intent, but to build a portfolio where we have differences in maturity, difference in jurisdiction, and also risk profile.
So these companies are coming with their innovative ideas, and could you talk a little bit about the support that they'll get from BHP during the program, and also discuss how long does it run, what does that look like?
Sure. So they will remain with us for 6 months, and then at the end of the 6 months, the opportunity will become a full investment option. They can go and request further capital. Now, what happened within the 6 months? We provide the three main type of services. There is the financial, there is the operational, and the technical. What that look like? On the financial is in the form of a stipend. So each company receives $500,000 from us to stay with us for the 6 months. Then on the technical and operational is more toward mentoring, advising, connection with all internal experts, as well as a connection with external experts, ecosystem, vendor, and supplier. We help them to reframe their entire opportunity from a strategic point of view, why they're doing what they're doing, down to, okay, if this is the vision and the strategy, how we're going to deliver against that? What do we need in place? How does the exploration campaign look like?
So I think anyone in the mining industry probably knows that all processes move pretty slowly, and so it makes a lot of sense to have an accelerator program like this to help speed things along. But I wondered if you could speak to that a little bit, just about why it's so important to speed things along to make sure that we will have supply of the commodities that we need.
So it's a couple of things. You touched already on one, which is the supply of the commodity. What we have from not just from my industry, from our society, we put forward very clear plans for the energy transition and where we want to be in the 2050 with the net zero programs. The reality is that to underpin the energy transition, we do need critical resources. And as we think today, that supply needs to double for copper and quadruple for nickel. We're just too slow to get in time for actually achieving the goals that have been put forward. So definitely accelerating the front end of the life cycle of resources is fundamental. Now, how are we doing that? The investment per se allow us to accelerate their activities. If you think about on the standard way of we finance exploration is a small little incremental investment. They are associated to small incremental activities. We are disrupting all of that by saying let's look to the full exploration holistic campaign that you need to do to de-risk this opportunity. Let's invest to all of it instead of small incremental steps. All of that can accelerate exploration from the 5-7 years down to a couple of years. That is significant acceleration.
Definitely, I think that is significant. So I wonder if you can talk a little bit about the 2023 cohort. I believe there are 7 companies. I wondered if you could share a little bit about the work that they're going to be pursuing during their 6 months.
So the 7 companies that we brought on the portfolio are all very different. We talked about portfolios, so they have different maturities. So we have companies that are already drilling, and so we will know in the next couple of months within the program if we have a significant discovery or not. To companies that the company wasn't even existing before coming to the program. We helped them to set up their structure and company and starting to get ready for what does it look like doing an exploration activity. So within the next 6 months with us, they're looking at delivering different elements of their activities. Some is more focusing on acquiring licenses and working with the local community and stakeholder engagements. Others are more looking in technology to de-risk faster their exploration activities. So it would be looking very different, but for us it's very exciting, and the company are fantastic.
Yeah, I really like that there's a wide variety. That's so interesting. One of the things that we often hear about major mining companies is that they've underinvested in exploration, and I think this is definitely a great way to help that pick up, get back to that aspect of the industry. What other strategies do you think large miners might use to help build their pipelines again?
So I think if you think about growth, there are multiple ways to build the pipeline. There is through greenfield exploration, there is business development, and even M&A. Through M&A we can get exploration assets. Xplor offer a larger aperture of the funnel of opportunities. In 2 months through the application process, I see hundreds of opportunities. That's massive compared to what is the normal pace. And I think looking forward, in general, majors, so they're probably going to look at how they can get exposed to the junior world in a different ways, where they can get a view of what is out there in a much more powerful way than what we've done traditionally.
All right, and I was watching before we did this interview one of your recent presentations online, and one of the points you made it really resonated with me, was that we can't accomplish all these very lofty future goals that we have in terms of the energy transition if we keep doing the same things. I wondered if you could expand a little bit on that, because I thought that made a lot of sense.
So when I think about the full value chain of the commodities that we offer, we tend to take a lot of time. We tend to not invest enough in technology and move opportunities quickly through the value chain. That cannot sustain the supply that the world is requiring for the energy transition. It just can't happen. So we need to invest differently. So the investment itself drive different behaviors, where we are focusing on the full exploration activities, and we are focusing on understanding quickly, do we have a discovery or not? Once that happens, how can we develop in a much faster way? And even more so, even in the exploration phase, start to think about how the development look like, what the ESG footprint look like. Start to think that about early, not in phase, but actually in parallel. All of that can disrupt our way of thinking of mining and can definitely enable us to deliver the supply that we actually have to deliver.
Yeah, and I think, the mining industry, we always hear that it kind of stays in the past a little bit. It's a little bit resistant to change. So it's nice to see these things happening. And yeah, are there any other trends that you would talk about just as we wrap up here, or anything that you would share about BHP Xplor?
For sure. So we are looking to run another call for application in September. So we're going to have another cohort in 2024, so we can add more companies. So I'm definitely looking for application to come in and quality, of course, companies. We are looking also to expand in terms of commodities. This year our focus was copper and nickel, but going forward we're probably going to look more other future-facing commodities and critical resources, whether it is uranium or rare earth of lithium. We will be interested to see some of the opportunities in this space as well.
Do you have any advice for a company or people who might want to apply?
So my main advice is think about your idea in terms of something different and new that we haven't heard about. It could be on an existing mining province or in a completely new mining province, but don't be shy to apply. Apply is, it doesn't require much time and it costs nothing, and so we hope to see as many new ideas as possible. Also, we're not just looking to the conventional miners. We want to hear from academia. We want to hear from disruptor from other industry as well. We are open to any different type of a new concept on the exploration space.
Okay, well, it'll be really interesting to see how the 2023 cohort progresses. I hope you get a lot of great applicants for the next year's program. Thank you so much for coming on to talk today. It was great to hear about the program.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really, really delighted to be here and to talk more a little bit of Xplor. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. And once again, I'm Charlotte McLeod with the Investing Network, and this is Sonia Scarselli with BHP Xplor.